Everyone, this is Nikachu, and I'm here with my brother as we are going to tackle Legacy with Swordfish. Swordfish in Legacy, the brilliantly community voted name. We're going to thank our sponsor, themanabase.com, and you want to go check out Constructed Criticism by Spencer Howland. He'll show you how to say goodbye to 2017 and say hello to 2018. And you can also check out Mason, you can find out how he's out to get me on Constructed Criticism, only on themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And we have new patrons. There has been an avalanche of patrons in the new year. I would love so much to thank everybody supporting me, starting with Matt B, Emma Perry, James, Caleb Yetman, Matt Cena, Michael Fisher, Maximilian Wattberger, Felix Mink, Patrick Hall, Alex Eric Fritjof Loven, Buckeye Bass, and Braden Greenless. Thank you so much, everybody who support me on Patreon. I absolutely love the support that you have for the channel. It keeps the channel going, and it keeps me buying my brother some candy every so often. What kind of candy do you like, anyway?
Skittles is good.
Skittles, yeah.
Well, anything is good. So why is it called Swordfish?
Swordfish because...
It always had Jite in it.
That's true, but that's not a real sword. Do you know what? I cut the sword, too. I cut the real swords. The point is, like, it's Stoneforge Mystic. We're running Stoneforge Mystic in Legacy because I think we got some really powerful cards in Legacy. Super powerful. We're running Chalice of the Void, which shuts down not all the decks in Legacy, but a ton of decks cannot stand up to the power of Chalice of the Void. Chalice on 0, Chalice on 1, sometimes Chalice on 2. Just cripples so many decks. So many decks cannot deal with an uncounterable True Name Nemesis. Either we vial this in, or we're playing it off of Cavern of Souls. True Name Nemesis is one of the best creatures. It is the best creature in this deck. Forget one of the best creatures. It's the best creature. It might even be the best creature of all time. You know? If we were to have a debate about it. It's, like, incredibly good. It is format warping, by the way. The whole format, like, your 75 is built with some plan against True Name Nemesis. Because you know, like, any random blue deck can play it. A Delver deck could just jam this thing. It's just Progenitus for 3 mana. So yeah, True Name Nemesis, incredibly powerful. We utilize it very effectively. But you know what? We don't always get all these one of these 8 cards every single game. Sometimes we just get a bunch of Lords, and that's not good enough. Sometimes we get a mix of Counter Magic, Aether Vial, Phantasmal Image. Not good enough. Do you know what? I was always thinking for a very long time. I had this idea in the memory banks for years. What about Stoneforge Mystic? Wouldn't Stoneforge Mystic be great? We all know that Umezawa's Jite on a True Name Nemesis is unbeatable. It's so good, but it's so inconsistent in our deck because we can't guarantee that we draw Umezawa's Jite. It's random. It's random if we get it, and having 1 is like, okay, but, I'd prefer to have 2. And, of course, like, we'd prefer to have 4, but it's a legendary card, so it'd be useless. But why not be able to tutor for it with Stoneforge Mystic? And it doesn't kill the rest of the synergy of the deck. Like, we still have Chalice of the Void that we can play on 1, which Stoneforge just completely dodges. All the equipment that we grab also dodges it. Another thing I like about Stoneforge Mystic is there's a lot of games against Delver decks where... we're getting tempoed out, or, most importantly, we're in a race. We're in a race, and we can't gain life. They have Deathrite Shaman. We don't have Deathrite Shaman. They can gain just enough life to get out of range of dying to us, or they use the Deathrite Shaman to just outright kill us. Batterskull could completely change those games, completely swing them around. And by the way, if we're up against another Stone Blade deck, well, we've got our own Stoneforge Mystic. How convenient is that? So we've got Stoneforge Mystic, which makes me realize maybe this last card should be, was wondering, what should be our last card? Maybe it should be the Artifact Destroying card. Do you know what it is? You know what I'm talking about? You absolutely do not know what I'm talking about.
Keep the rage in the cage.
Sure. We'll keep it for now. So yeah, I think Stoneforge Mystic could potentially put this whole thing over the top. It's expensive. Like, I'm not, this is not an easy splash. We're playing with Tundra. Those aren't cheap. I understand, and I think there's a lot of moans and groans out there. But if you play this game digitally online, it's not that expensive. Tundra is incredibly affordable. I think it's like $15, maybe $10. They're not expensive.
What's on paper?
Over 200 easily. Easily, unless you
get your foils.
Well, foil didn't exist back then.
Oh.
It was that's how long ago this thing was printed. We're talking at least like 23 years ago, 24 maybe. So
greenhouse gases have melted those tundras by.
If you can get a deal on these things if they've been chewed by a dog, several dogs, and fell in the toilet or something like that, then you can get it for maybe $180. But aside from that, you're looking at paying some serious money. So like the splash isn't cheap. So I understand there's going to be some apprehension to picking up this deck, but I think the white does a lot of good for us here. And I don't think Blood Moon is popular enough that it would completely shut the deck down. So, and not to mention that we can still play a game of Magic even if they play Blood Moon, thanks to Ether Vial, thanks to Phantasmal Image only costing 1, Silver Gill Adept only costs 1, and I'm going to be playing enough basics, so hopefully, that will work for us. But yeah, Stoneforge Mystic I think is going to be a great addition to the deck. Grabbing these equipment, I mean, if we put Batterskull on a True Name Nemesis, that will win a giant chunk of games just by itself. No questions asked. So I think it's beautiful. The only thing that is awkward is that it's not a blue card, so it won't pitch to Force of Will, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. We have enough blue cards in the deck to maintain the synergy of Force of Will. Now, the mana base is a bit up in the air. I do not like. Before we get to the mana base, just check out this deck is still pretty stock. The thing is, there was always these 4 to 5 flex spots. Like, what do we do with it? Do we play Harbinger of the Tides? Do we play Dismember? Do we play Smuggler's Copter? All these things are like sort of good. Stoneforge Mystic is a bomb, and there are tons of archetype built around this card. We can use it. Why can't we use this card? So that's the theory that I'm trying to bring to life here. And aside from that, the deck is just stock. We've got 4 Curse Catcher, 4 True Name, 4 Master of the Pearl Trident, 4 Lord of Atlantis, 4 Silver Gill, 2 Phantasmal Image. I mean, formerly 3 to 4 Phantasmal Image, but that's okay. 4 Force of Will, 4 Chalice of the Void. We filled the void of the flex slots with 2 Anumaza's GTA, Batterskull, and 4 Stoneforge Mystic. I think it's going to be a great addition. I think it works really well with Ether Vial. You flash in Stoneforge Mystic at end of turn. You grab your equipment. You can play it on your next turn. Gets through Chalice on 1. Yeah, looks beautiful. So for the lands, I'm not entirely sure what is correct. You guys made aware to me that I had no Cavern of Souls in my original list. And I do agree that we probably should have some Cavern of Souls. Probably 3 is even the right number, but I don't know what is the correct number of all these cards. I just do not know. So I'm going to run... I could run up to 21 lands, but then that means I have to kick out a Phantasmal Image. And you know what? Phantasmal Image is still good enough against Sneak and Show. It's still good enough against Reanimator. It's still good enough against a lot of decks, and on top of that, it's good against Death and Taxes because we can copy our True Name Nemesis. That I don't want to part with too many of them. I'd rather get rid of a Mutavault. Mutavault, not as big of a bomb in Legacy as it is in Modern because it can just get eaten up by a Wasteland. So it's still a great card, but I'm not as attached to it as I am in Modern. So what we're going to run here is 4 Tundra and 3 Islands. Those are 7 cards that we can grab with our 6 fetch lands. I'm playing a variety because Pithing Needle, it's a serious thing. Someone could go Gitaxian Probe, see, oh, you got 4 Flooded Strand in your hand. Well, I'm just going to play Pithing Needle on Flooded Strand, and then you're screwed.
Probes are still Legacy legal?
Yes. It's the only thing legal. Oh, sorry. It's legal in Vintage, but only as a 1-of. Shout out to A&W, the Canadian A&W, to hell with the American one. I am not eating mashed potatoes with my burger. So yeah, we're gonna run 2 Cavernous Souls. So aside from we shouldn't count Cavernous Souls because I need to be able to pay Stoneforge Mystic's white cost in order to put the equipment onto the battlefield. Just fetching for Numazao's G-Tape is like sort of fine, but it'd be great if we can put into play at instant speed. Hold up counters, things like that. So we've got 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not bad. Not bad. I think that is an acceptable number of white sources. Maybe I could go even lower. I don't know what the math is on that for vialing this in. But it's also going to be important for our sideboard cards. But actually, knowing the correct mana base would be good, because then maybe I could remove one of these fetch lands, for example, for another Cavernous Souls. I mean, I would love to have 4 Cavernous Souls if possible. And maybe there's room in the sideboard for more Cavernous Souls. We'll have to wait and see. If anyone is interested picking up, if I can prove that this deck has legs. I just played like some casual games with this. I've won all of them, but I have just some. It's just very little. So let's talk about the sideboard. Thank you to whoever out there recommended Containment Priest. When you are making a splash, you better make sure that it's improving some of your bad matchups, and Containment Priest is absolutely going to do that. We can play it against elves, which makes it very difficult for them to go off, because they can't just natural order into Craterhoof Behemoth anymore. So in that way, it's great. It's a nombo with us, I understand that, but you could, for example, vial this in response to natural order being played, so they've already sacrificed a creature, and certainly putting this thing into play is better than them finding Craterhoof Behemoth. This will also have application against Reanimator decks. What else? This will have application against Sneak and Show.
The Devil?
No, Sneak and Show.
It's Priest.
Whatever. This will not beat Omniscience, because they will show and tell in Omniscience and then just look for the creature and then actually cast it for free. So it's not going to work against that, but it still has enough targets in the Legacy metagame that I really like. I love the idea of this card, and I'm very interested to see if it's gonna do great work for us. Swords to Plowshares. Now, there's a lot of matchups where Chalice is just useless, especially against creature matchups. Like Death and Taxes, for example. Chalice is garbage. We could use actual removal spells. So Swords to Plowshares is going to help us against Death and Taxes. The Swords to Plowshares are going to help us against Eldrazi, another matchup where we're siding out Chalice of the Void. So there's enough decks where we're siding out Chalice of the Void, like against also Maverick or something like that. We need Swords to Plowshares. This thing is good against... I think this also will be good against Shardless Bug, because we'll have a nice clean answer to Tarmogoyf, and basically any other creature that they put on the battlefield. And because I don't really believe in Chalice of the Void in that matchup. I think we can also bring this in against Reanimator. If they put that stupid 5/6 Chancellor on the board, we just for 1 mana wipe it out. So it's a nice clean answer to a ton of matchups. We never had a 1 mana removal spell. We were dicking around with Dismember at best, and Echoing Truth, which I still have in the sideboard. I don't know what else to put here. This is a deck under construction. I don't know what's best yet. We'll figure it out on the way. So yeah, Swords to Plowshare is a very interesting card. I didn't have this originally, but then I was thinking, well, we're playing white. Let's just play with Rest in Peace. I don't want to say it's strictly better than, say, Grafdigger's Cage. Grafdigger's Cage costs 1. But it is strictly better than Relic of Progenitus. Relic of Progenitus is just it is an graveyard exiling effect that is very clunky in some ways, because you have to hold up the 1 mana all the time if you're up against a graveyard-oriented deck. But it's really bad against Deathrite Shaman. It's just downright useless. Relic of Progenitus, in Legacy, it's really easy to fill the graveyard. Super easy. You just, in 1 fetch land and 1 brainstorm, the graveyard is going to be full, and you cannot prevent Deathrite Shaman from getting what it needs with a Relic of Progenitus. But with Rest in Peace, the graveyard will be exiled permanently. Permanently! So I'm hoping that this will be a much bigger upgrade. It will be compared to like Grafdigger's Cage is much better against combo decks like Reanimator because they can reliably turn combo off on turn 2. So when you're on the draw, you really want to play like a Grafdigger's Cage on turn 1.
Rage in the cage.
That's right, Rage in the Cage. So this might be clunky against some combo decks that use the graveyard, but I think overall this card is just going to be better, and I have high hopes for this thing. And you know what? Why not experiment with it? Why not experiment with it?
You have all sorts of white cards to experiment with.
That's right. A whole new color pie to exist in this format. So we're playing with Flusterstorm. Just still a great counterspell. And maybe I should have more counterspells on the sideboard. Like maybe this could be a Daze or something. And I have Echoing Truth because I don't know what else to put in the sideboard yet. Just too excited with this. So I'm very interested to see how this is going to work. Maybe I should have an extra island. I don't know. I was trying to compare the mana base to other like Death and Taxes like decks that are similar to this. You know, a Stoneforge Mystic creature based deck. Maybe I should look at Maverick to see what their mana base is like. Didn't think about it until now. But on the grand scheme of things, it is still a blue Merfolk deck. We will be slightly weaker to Blood Moon. We'll be a lot weaker to Blood Moon. No big deal. I'm not scared. Bring on Blood Moon. But we are hopefully going to be a lot better against other decks. Thanks to Stoneforge Mystic and the beautiful white sideboard cards. So let's go try this out in a competitive league. We will... Honestly, our hand is sort of pooped, but we'll keep it. We did not win the die roll. So our opponent clicking through their turn.
Always good.
It's always good when they actually click through their turn, but they did not. So we got a Mutavault. That's not too bad. Protect ourselves from Wasteland and Blood Moon by playing our island. We're definitely gonna have more Wasteland problems, that's for sure. I hope it's not going to be too detrimental to the deck, but we'll make do with it. I mean, we still have a lot of fetch lands, and mind you, this is going to look like a really weird hand to them. So they're going to look at our hand, and it's going to be full of like Tundra, Wanderwine Hub, Tundra.
Is it new art?
What?
For the Taxium Probe?
No, it's a promo art. That was Friday Night Magic. Go check out your Friday Night Magic. You get yourself a Gitaxium Probe. I remember at one time these things were really expensive. Until I got banned. Enjoy yourself while you last. So this looks like Sneak and Show. This is very Sneak and Show like. Our hand is actually pretty good, I think, for Sneak and Show. It's full of Curse Catchers, which is a huge problem.
That's where they try to put Emrakul in, right? That's where they try to put in Emrakul. Sneak and Show.
Yes, they have Emrakul and a lot of other stuff. And Grizzlebrand. So Lord of Atlantis or I could play Mutavault and Curse Catcher, but I guess that's not a really fast clock. They have Simian Spirit Guide to go off if they really need to. Having two Curse Catchers in play is nice because it gets around Simian Spirit Guide, but only for a turn. But in that turn, I could draw a Force of Will. And this Lord of Atlantis is not exactly the most impressive clock. Let's just do it anyway. I guess technically I should have played the Wonder One Hub. Because Wonder One Hub demands creatures in your hand in order to play it untapped. A marginal error. So putting, it's going to be important to get our opponent to as low of a life total as possible so that they can't utilize Grizzlebrand when it enters the battlefield. So the magical number is 7. Put our opponent down to 7, and then even if they show and tell Grizzlebrand, it's not worth anything. Well, that card's a problem. You got it? What you got?
What does it do?
It adds mana. So if this is show and tell, well, I can't do anything about that. So what is... Maybe we can still win. If this is Emrakul, I think we can still win, because I think we're going to put enough permanents on the board. So if I put Mutavault onto the battlefield, I can then play a Master of the Pearl Trident and attack with the Mutavault. At the very least, I think Mutavault... Is Mutavault the best thing? What if I play a Master of the Pearl Trident? Then I'm going to have 9 power on the board. No, I'm just going to play the Mutavault. Attack the Mutavault, in theory. Uh-oh. That's not good news. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. I would rather you paid the mana cost. That's a problem. Okay. We can move on. Let's see. 5 permanent. Because they're just going to cast Emrakul for nothing. And then get an extra turn. And then kill me. Well, wipe out the permanents.
I'd like to see you play that Emrakul.
Yeah, we lose. So, like, they'll get an extra turn, wipe out my permanents, and then I'll die the next turn after that. So, let's see. What goodies can we bring in here? Swords to Plowshares can get rid of Grizzlebrand, but probably they can get some value out of it. Flusterstorm is important for countering Show and Tell. Containment Priest looks good. Rest in Peace is useless. Echoing Truth is useless. So I do not think this is a Stoneforge Mystic deck, but at the same time, this is not really a true name Nemesis deck, so I have to cut... What do I cut? I don't even like Chalice of the Void here. I am quickly learning that this configuration is not the most beautiful for Sneak and Show. So I guess we'll keep True Name Nemesis. It's a clunky card, but you can put it in play with Sneak and Show, and sometimes they'll just they'll Show and Tell in. Sorry, they can Show and Tell in an Emrakul, and then you put a True Name Nemesis in play, and you just race them for the win. They're just a bit short on damage. 5 cards. Let's get rid of all these things. Are any of these things useful? Echoing Truth, I guess, is like marginally useful. Maybe I'm underrating Stoneforge Mystic, because we can get Batterskull, and that's 2 permanents on the battlefield, the Germ Token and the Batterskull, which we can sacrifice to the Annihilator trigger. But it sounds like a very clunky plan. Maybe we can bring in 1 Swords to Plowshares just for that Grizzlebrand that just somehow resolves. I can't remember if Echoing Truth had any place at all. You can bounce Omniscience. Yeah, you can bounce Omniscience in response to anything. Let's get rid of a Chalice. Let's bring in 2 Echoing Truth. That's fine. We can still play Chalice on 0 because they play Lotus Petal. I don't think Chalice on 1 is a very good plan, because I think you should just race the deck. Just race them. Sure, it's fine. But here's the problem. This is just significantly worse versus the Omniscience deck, like I was explaining earlier. Just way worse. I don't even know when to play this. Well, that's Flash, so that's good. Just in case they play Blood Moon, let's play this. They could go like Ancient Tomb, Simian Spirit Guide, Blood Moon. And by the way, like, because there's no Shocklands, there is never a reason that you would want to fetch at end of turn. You could at the very earliest fetch, or sorry, the very latest fetch at upkeep, but I actually want more lands. I think I want more lands. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't want land. Oh, that was late. That was late. So what to start off here with? Guess we get another Tundra. The deck plays a lot of Pyroblasts. They also play Pyroclasm. Right, I don't know. I don't know if this list plays Pyroclasm. Let's start with Containment Priest. And, well, okay, here's what I'm thinking. If we play Containment Priest, looks good, but then our opponent will completely change how they ponder and brainstorm in the face of this Containment Priest. It's much better if we can just flash this thing at end of turn. Or flash this thing in response to a show and tell. If I play Lord of Atlantis, then or Master of the Pearl Trident, it can just get Pyroblasted, so we'll play Containment Priest then. Not the fastest clock, but whatever. Oh, they're fetching now. Here it comes. They've come to realize why I'm playing white in this deck. Oh, that's why they're playing white. It makes so much sense. Let's see, and we can definitely get eaten by a Pyroclasm. They do have these sort of sweeper cards. We do have a Force of Will.
If you're playing white, you should play Supreme Verdict.
Well, no. A lot of Stoneforge decks play Supreme Verdict, but not this one. This one will not play Supreme Verdict. Oh, no, you don't. Well, if you are so scared of this card, we better bring in the reinforcemements.
Couldn't you pitch Curse Catcher?
No, Curse Catcher's valuable. Wow, look at that. Force of Will into Force of Will. That's how big of a deal this thing was.
True Name Nemesis. Best card in the format.
Something
Best
like...
creature of all time. Not as good as the Curse Catcher.
I take it all back. I'm actually going to play Curse Catcher here. That's how important it is to prevent like a turn 3 sneak and show. And then I'd much rather prevent ourselves from just dying instantly. And if we draw a land, then we can play like Lord into attack for 5, and then next turn we could play Lord into attack for a ton. Opponent's low on cards. Hopefully they have no combo available at all. Look at that cute one. Look at that. 3 damage or destroy an artifact. Trying to mess with my Ether Vial plans, aren't you? That's not terrible. If they show and tell an Emrakul in play, we'll have not enough permanence. We would need to draw land for it to be relevant. Okay, get in there. Go, go! Curse Catcher, go. Go, go, Curse Catcher, go! Da 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 da. Not quite Inspector Gadget.
He was a very terrible detective.
But that Miss Penny had a lot of potential. Up there with Batman and... was it... who's the guy with the dog? There's a lot of them with the dog. Tintin. Tintin
Oh, yes.
is what I'm thinking about.
Tintin, a Canadian classic.
Shout out to anyone who knows of Tintin. Let me know in the comments section below. This is a sort of question where people give me these weird comments in the comment section, and I totally forgot that I asked such a question. I watch Tintin every Saturday morning. Like, what the hell are you talking about that for? Despite what many might believe, this is all recorded way ahead of time.
Land.
Not bad. Not good against... Not good against sneak attack. Good against show and decent against show and tell. But they have a lot of mana right now. So let's see. We can attack for 7. Per opponent down to 9.
Or you could attack for 10.
I could also play this thing and attack for 6, and then theoretically win next turn. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold up the Flusterstorm, because that's the type of person I am. I am a hold up everything, play around as much garbage as possible sort of player. If they have a removal spell, I don't think that's bad for us because it also implies that they just don't have anything going for them. So if you show and tell, Ice Flusterstorm for 2, counter it completely, that's fine. So we hit for 3. Not beautiful. Not terrible. To be honest, you sometimes have to start countering things. But anyway, countering that didn't go anywhere. Okay. Ponder resolves. We gotta make them use this Ancient Tomb. Take damage, take damage. Mm-hmm. What he said.
If you could hear it.
This thing picks up everything. Well, not quite. I don't know what it's
I want to know what our neighbors are talking about.
Okay, now there's a ton of mana on the board. What the hell is this? 5 mana? You're going to cast Emrakul itself? Through the Breach.
Can you counter that?
I absolutely can, and I will be very glad to do it. I'm not going to screw up this Flusterstorm. Same targets. Thank you. You know, I don't know why the pros keep all the secrets to themselves. You guys, the community, have taught me so much about Magic the Gathering Online. Because Flusterstorm is so complicated online. If it wasn't for the same targets nonsense, I have so many times countered my own spell, my own Flusterstorm with my Flusterstorm. And then
why are my Rock Warriors attaching my Rock Warriors?
Why are my Rock Warriors attacking my Rock Warriors? What is this from?
Not He-Man, something else.
Biker Mice from Mars or something?
No.
We're going back, people. We're going back. That's going to be the theme of this series. We're going straight to 1990s, really, basically. Yeah, mid-90s, I guess. Well, I'll tell you what we got to do, people. We have to rebuild. And I'm willing... Okay, so if I'm trying to find out, what if I draw a blue source? Is it better to attack with the Mutavault, or is it better to play the Master of the Pearl Trident? So if I play Silvergill Adept, I draw a land. I can attack for 3, put them down to 7, and then I can play Master of the Pearl Trident and win? Because I'll have 7 power on... Well, yeah, I'll have 8 power on the board. If I play Silvergill Adept off the Mutavault and the Tundra, I have to draw exactly a blue source, not a Mutavault or a Cavernous... no, not a Mutavault or... No, that's it. Just Mutavault. I think they both work either way. So let's do it this way. Do you know what? Okay, actually, tapping the Mutavault was better, because what if I drew Flusterstorm? What if, people? What if I drew Flusterstorm? Another line was to play Phantasmal Image and copy the Mutavault.
Well, he didn't do Dink.
Whatever.
Okay, whatever.
They did that. That's
It's
all I care about.
hypothetical for the past.
Is there anything? Okay, so they have Through the Breach. No wonder they were so scared of our Containment Priest. It was containing their breach. This is useless. This is useless. This is sort of useless. Grafdigger's Cage. Still garbage. Okay, moving on. This hand sucks. We keep it. We're prob. That's good. I like it. I'll probably play Chalice on 0 into Chalice on 1. They got a Braid. But whatever. We have a Force of Will, which is good.
Put it on top. It's no good. He liked what he saw.
My brother can interpret 2 things. The life totals and the mulligan decisions. Whatever goes on in this chat room, this chat box. Okay, so for those of you who are so desperate to know what is my opponent doing with the ponder, well, I'll let you know. So our opponent, the Wingser of NC, they chose not to shuffle. They love their ponder. That's fine. I love them too. Lords. Lords are not bad because I have something extra to pitch to force a will. So anyway, we're going to play this for 0. Eats off Lotus Petal. It's not a nonsense card. And I don't like Chalice on 1, but I might play it next turn. It would kill these cantrips. And also put more permanents on the battlefield just in case I get Emerald. So put a card on the bottom, put a card on top, and then drew. So slowly drawing more cards that they want. The thing I don't like about the Chalice plan is that, we have so many lords. I still don't like the Chalice plan. So they chose not to shuffle, and they kept their thing with Preordain. I guess I'm just going to hope that they didn't set up. Because I'll tell you what I really like about this Chalice plan. Well, I guess we get a Tundra. We're so far behind anyway that we have to do our best to slow our opponent down. Like, we have no clock on the board, nothing. It will take like another 4 turns from here, and in those 4 turns, our opponent with cantrips will kill us. Absolutely not. You have got to be kidding me. Absolutely not. To hell with that. Come on, let's draw another Force of Will now. Not a Force of Will. The Force of Merfolk.
They bump them up.
Alright, here we go. So far, our opponent doesn't have anything else to throw at us. I hope they have 4 Emrakul's in their hand, and they were really depending on that sneak attack resolving. Stop tapping things. Stop it. Oh, God. Through the breach. So this could be terrible. Well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but we do need to draw some like consecutive lands. We have a complete clock in our hand. And we don't die. A Braid would kill us though. That's unfortunate. Why did we lose life at all? Oh yeah, because of the fetch lands. 1 fetch land and what? Why did I lose another life? I don't know. So if we can rip like 2 islands... Well, to be honest, they're getting a lot of turns here. So it doesn't take all that much for them to like win again. Oh, they had the Lotus Petal. We called it with that Chalice on 0. What, another one? Wormcoil Engine. Well, that's hard to beat. We have like 1 Swords to Plowshares in the deck, but we have no lands in play. Alright. Oh, we had that. Neat. Not bad. Alright, we concede. So that was round 1 against Sneak and Show. A matchup that I think if we had more counters, it would have done better for us.
Yeah. This
thing did not need to be this thing. I don't know if we need this guy anymore in light of the counter spells that we have. Well, I don't know. I have to think about it. You know, Ensnaring Bridge is still in this format. But unfortunately, this was definitely not a matchup where Swordfish wanted to play against. Not that I think we were weak. We still have Force of Will. We still have counter spells to bring in. We still have Containment Priest, but we could not utilize Stoneforge Mystic whatsoever. So this is our first match with Swordfish and Legacy, as usual. I'm going to thank all my patrons supporting me on Patreon, and we're going to thank themanabase.com for being our sponsor. This has been Nikachu and his brother playing Swordfish and Legacy.